Peace in Islam. Today we're going to talk about the metaphysics of the Olympics and how history, law, government all seeped in all aspects of our life. We're going to play 3 videos and we're going to talk about it. This first one we're going to see how the Moorish Americans, right there, lost in basketball to the Moors of Nigeria and the Moors of Australia. And Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, Rome, the Bishopric of Morocco, panic, and we got the black and white Roman. They really understand what you're talking about with these terms. You have to go back and watch the series they got Black Romans. But we're going to talk about it in this for a second. Let's play it.
Huge pressure on him, and he's served our country well many times in the past, so this isn't his first time.
Correct.
And I'm a little surprised he committed to even make this run at his advancing age. But he did, and because he did, I'm going to believe in him, and I'm going to trust that he will bring gold home. So that's my gut feeling is, if I got Kevin Durant, I'm golden.
You know what it was, Skip? What's going on right now? Another country wins the gold medal is the equivalent of the U.S. hockey team. What they did in the 80 and late Classic. That's the equivalent. Mm-hmm. There's no way you're supposed to beat the Russians. There's no way, and I think they beat either Finland or Sweden in the championship because that was to get to the gold medal round.
Okay, but remember, we didn't have any pros at that point.
That's what I'm saying.
They had been drafted, but they weren't professional hockey players.
But they still, that's the great.
Now all these other teams have. Right. Australia has 6 NBA players.
Well, they were sending professionals for the longest time, and we were sending our college kids until they got beat in '88 and Seoul. That was the David Robinson-led team. And they said, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all sending pros, we sending college kids. They said, no more. 92, we got something for you.
Okay, so maybe I'm now speaking with my red, white, and blue heart, but I am willing to bet you 5.
That's the jurisdiction of Rome planning over Mauritania. We got Washington, D.C., we got the United States of America set up as the Bishopric of Morocco. And we can see as Christians, they is under the jurisdiction of Rome. We can see how he expressed that, how he tried to get the Moorish American under the Black Roman codes that have been set up for him. We can see
cases of Diet Mountain Dew that we win gold.
I ain't bet against America.
Why not?
You see, he got a red. He claimed his red, white, and blue heart, and he expect him to have hatred for it. But what they don't realize is there's 2 sides of the same coin. Right, you got the side of the eagle, you got the side of the pyramid on the dollar. Our misunderstanding of that caused
reactions like this.
You just can't
You're
do
like
that.
that. You'd bet against America.
No, I wouldn't.
You see, his misunderstanding with all the flag burners and the kneeling and doing the anthem and all those understandings, the Moorish Americans' understanding of what they're fighting against is being under the clutches of Rome jurisdiction, and the original America is where their heart lies, and those precepts. The original land, the ancient Mauritanians, the ancient Moroccans, the modern day Americans. That misunderstanding gonna cause this thing to crash real fast. But you can see the reaction between these two. He expect him to turn against his own Mauritania. What they're talking about, these Moors, they're talking about Rome in Mauritania, Washington, D.C., and the corruption that they place over the land that we all know is real. They're gonna act like it's all one and the same, and none of that is real. Black Jim Crow laws ain't happen. Not this great country, no. But they don't know the separations of the two jurisdictions that always be planning over each other on this planet.
Oh, you do anything to get even. No?
You see? He ain't even finished his sentence. Get even with what? What he talking about is the wrath of the districts of the Naval Columbus that have been waging on the Americans since its inception. That we talk about asking him if he getting even with. He couldn't even finish saying it because it's all in his mentality, his false teachings, and the Roman jurisdiction conversion that they place over the American land. And watch what he say.
Some things I would.
Yeah.
You see? He ain't even explain what that is. Some things he'll turn against it, but what in his heart he know that's not America. Cause you ask him, he love this country, he love America. He don't know why. Cause of the false teachings, but he know that's his land, motherland, and he love it. It's the same situation with Jesus when he been expressing the Roman law, but he been calling it the law in the land of his mothers and fathers. So he been using the separation, he been using the term Roman law, but he been setting Roman law straight because originally the Etruscans and basically the ancient Mauritanians again set that up after the first, I think, 7 or 8 kings, the last 7 or 8 kings of that ancient Mauritania. The first king, Romulus, established the new kingdom of Rome out of the ancient Mauritanians who was already there. Just like Romulus being the first king of Rome, officially, George Washington is the first officially the king of this side. So Washington, D.C. becomes the name of that city-state. Romulus becomes the name of Rome city-state, by both placed over Mauritania, land of Moors, Morocco, America, in our sense.
But
No.
not in basketball.
Okay.
What about tonight, USA versus Argentina? Bet on that? I don't know.
Manu playing?
Yeah. He's cheering.
Okay, so you guys can think about that. We got about 2 weeks till Team USA.
Argentina been the first team that beat the Moorish Americans in their own sport, what we call basketball. That victory, Argentina erupted that night. They look at you gotta look at it like this. Argentina was Mauritania and the old world. We go back to the wars between Rome and the Moors and Argentina. It was King Argitanio who kingdoms after his collapse of his kingdom and he lost, the kingdom became Mauritania, and after the victory over the ancient Mauritanians in later history, we talking about the 1500s area, it got replaced with again Argentina, and we can see the victory, the awesome victory of Rome trophy that we see in Rio de Janeiro today. And so that's been a metaphysical battle. I think that been 2000, in the year 2000 and something, 2000 I think. They lost, the Moorish Americans lost to Argentina the first time. They won a bronze. And before that, they been blowing everybody out. And Argentina won that one. So it's an Argentina battle again between USA, which is basically the Bishopric of Morocco. So we see that seeping there. We're going to watch another video. I'm going to watch this one right quick. 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Black History Month you find
Ridiculous.
why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Yeah, stop right there. Now you see, he tried to ask him about Black History Month, but he didn't like the answer. Now we're gonna see. You gotta be so disingenuous to want something for somebody else that you wouldn't even want for yourself, right? Whatever the reason that you don't want for yourself, it shouldn't be. Be something that, whatever that reason is, be something that you won't want for yourself, you shouldn't want for the next man. But you see how, tell the truth, you shame the devil. And now, since he ain't back in the corner, he asking, well, what about White History Month? Now all of a sudden he ain't white. But before this, or before that pressure getting pushed him in the corner, he'll allow you to assume that he running under these color codes. But you can see behind the scenes he got a nationality that he rocking with. Right? He ain't want him to rock with one. He want him to be a color.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
See how fast he said no? So that means he's supping what he understand, which basically is just marginalization. You could regale history to marginalizing it. And he also said another thing where he said, well, Black Romans, they gotta understand in their heart that they know. He said Black History Month is America History Month. So he's saying basically everything that America is what he is, not black.
I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
I'm all about them bucks.
And he already said he ain't white, he's Jewish. So that shouldn't be too much for him to ask for somebody else. He shouldn't have a problem calling other people what they say they are. Just like if he say he is, then we'll call you that. If I say I'm this, we'll call me that. And then that's confessing your own. So we'll go to this last video, and it's going to show that it's a problem with other people when you confess your own. But other people can confess theirs. So let's just show you this one. We're looking at these things with our third eye, not our carnal, earthly eyes.
How do we move it forward? We're trying to move from protest to policy. And we have to change policy. We have to change laws in this country where laws and policy discriminate against people with a certain skin color. And that skin color puts us into what we are calling, there's white status and there's black status. And for the people who identify in terms of white status, ask yourself this question. As a Caucasian in this country, have you ever had to fight for civil rights, voting rights, or equal rights? What we're fighting for is to be uplifted into the Constitution, be seen as human, and be treated as human, and not be in a black status or people of color status. We are in a color-coded caste system, and we're trying to make America see that this caste system that we've all been put into, white, black, people of color, yellow, red, this is a color-coded caste system, and this is not what America sells itself as.
Another thing about what he said, when he say get lifted and back into the Constitution, he right because the Constitution doesn't um, deal with a caste system. They're dealing with people. They're dealing with national um, people. Basically, at that time, the caste system of color coded caste system is uh, all American system that been across the continent being used under the Christian codes or whatever, the way they run the colonies. That was destroyed in 1774 when it was declared all men created free and equal. At that point, the only people that existed free was nationals, like Englishmen, Frenchmen, um, basically Moors and Christians, and as citizens of the United States at that time. 1790 come around, defined the immigration laws, and defined all free white persons as different nationals. You can go read the definition. But constitutionally, we the people of the United States, they're talking about nationals, not slaves, right? Not people with these terms that don't connect them to no niche. And so that's what getting back into the constitutional fall of government. Outside of that constitutional fall, that one becomes an outlaw, and one actually becomes illegal. So white and black people is unconstitutional and it's illegal. And that's what he conveying.
Wants to be. And all of us as Americans need to rise up to the level of Americans. It's okay to be Irish. It's okay to be Polish. It's okay to be Italian. It's okay to be American.
The reason why that's the constitutional law, French American, Italian American, Polish Americans, because all these nations is under the jurisdiction of again Mauritania or America. It's a binding instrument to bind Rome, to keep Rome in order with the law of the land. Everybody I know since back when it started, since like we talked about earlier, the Etruscans setting up Rome for the Romans. Where Romans continue to do after that and create this thing we call the 12 Tables of Rome. So in order to circumvent the original law of the land that was set for them, and during the time of Romulus, they create this thing called 12 Tables where they claim to be codifying the original law. And these 12 tables became thousands and thousands of what we call codes that supposedly have been the spirit of the law, codified for the people to understand so they can better govern. But of course, that caused oppression, right? Just like we got the daily U.S. codes being used to govern instead of the heart, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And we got the same thing going on. So in order for these Romans to circumvent that, they bring in the color scheme. So now I don't gotta be Italian/American because I always put me under that jurisdiction of the original organic American laws that create the federal laws based off the United States and establishing the federal government. So basically understanding that your family law is what we gotta get back to. And one way to do that is enforcing the Constitution like he's doing right now. He enforcing the Constitution. They ask him a question, Nah, he answered it. They don't like it, and I just explained why. Because he put them back under the jurisdiction of this Moroccan, Al-Moroccan American.
We are American. We're not black, we're not white, we're not blue, we're not green, we're not yellow. Now, all cultures, you may
all
have
Americans. So
different
you
type
come
of
here, no matter where you come from, you gotta be Korean/American. When you go back home, you can be Korean. But here, you all under the jurisdiction of the law of the land and of the Americans, which is the Moors.
cultures. But in terms of these color-coded caste system race boxes that we've
But
been
when you deal with
all
class
placed
system,
white,
all that
black,
dead.
the
All
system
that
is
doesn't matter.
making
And
us
that's what we
fight
get.
against each
That's what
other.
we get at this point. The 12 tables of Rome have become thousands and thousands of United States codes. By us ignoring this fact, our foremothers and forefathers, law of the land, we fall into the state now we at today.
As opposed to being together.
Well, that is one of the issues for white people.
Yeah, you see how Ron played. He just finished giving him the most lessons he could ever get, probably in all his years of history in politics in school, if he ever took some kind of class of civics. He just got it. He just got told that there's no white people because there have to be green people and yellow people and other colors too. He just explained this to this guy, and this guy still bring up a group of people that he call white people that don't exist. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional, and it's disrespectful. This man just explaining you, we'll stop being white people, and that's the answer to your question. You got all these race problems. You might answer us, stop being white people, and we'll stop being black people. But he get right back into what's white and what's black. Now watch what he say.
The realization that there is white privilege and the obliviousness to it is part of the problem. Even
You see, he talking to him. That's why he smile, because he know he talking to him. Really, third person type. He's saying white people. That's how they using us, because they keep everything in the race system. Saying white people got a problem realizing that there is white supremacy. That's how they usually frame that to you. To the more they'll try to make it look like he need to be black and proud because, look, white people, they don't even understand you guys. They understand your plight. So that's a trick. When if there is no white people, then how could white people not realize all him? He saying he ain't realizing the bigger picture of white supremacy, trying to not recognize white. So he disrespecting herself by not recognizing white, hence not recognizing the white supremacy. Her idea is there is no white supremacy, there's law breaking people not claiming to be who they really is, running around calling themselves white. So you violate one law of the land, you violate the rest. So white supremacy can only show when there is a white, because you violating the law, and it look like as white supremacy. But you'll be able to be seen easily under your national names, because now we'll know who the culprits is. We'll know exactly who's who, right? Because say we call something as basically we look at white supremacy as a so-called white judge giving a harsh sentence to a so-called black person. What could happen is you're going to get a so-called black judge who give you that same sentence or worse. They're going to show you that all that is an illusion. That's why I always say black and white Romans, because you're dealing with Romans.
well-meaning people who are not
White privilege, that's what you say. Ignoring that there is a white privilege. So he trying to say that's what he doing by telling him that you ain't white, buddy.
Necessarily.
The obliviousness is
during this conversation.
a part of a problem.
How about
And then he try to say even by well-meaning people. So he talking about Isaiah. He want to keep the spell alive. So he going to use even so-called quote-unquote white people ignorance of so-called racism to do that. The guy in the middle, he gets it. He realizing that Isaiah got a point. He ain't about gonna say anything. He's going nod.
people stop calling themselves white and go back to being Italian, Irish, and Polish, whatever it is. But when you say you're white, and this other category is black,
acting like he agrees, but he don't want to agree because under white, again, you can be unconstitutional in all ways, but under your nationality, you become jurisdictionally under the jurisdiction of these people. They know that. Because when they find out at the end of the day that these are the Americans who granted the Rome in the first place, it's going to be a whole lot to pay. The number one thing is going to be the fact that they are keeping that alive from these people. In the churches and the mosques and in the synagogues and the schools and everywhere Rome can be found.
Oppressive, systemic, racialized system that you can implement and put in place, because this system has taken all of us.
That's the speaking right now is we call them Mother Holy Breath, that truth that was, is, and always will be.
All classified white brothers and sisters too, out of their nationalities, and put us in these color-coded boxes.
He talking about basically the secret right brotherhood of the District of Columbia, like I say in the last videos, how they kidnap all Americans and put them under the SF-131 form, classified, racial classified codes, 1871, Reconstruction.
One has what we say white privilege, and black status has no privilege. We're asking all of us to come together and be one of
actual foreign nationals come here and all their rights be intact. You don't realize that, but you don't see them having these problems. They come here under the proper free white person status, which just means foreign national. Who we, the Americans, feel is proper enough to come and be amongst us. So that's the highest privilege to most Americans. Now, who don't like it or not.
America, and we're all Americans. Now, we all have our native homelands where we come from, but we're not white, black, red, yellow color boxes that this system has placed us in and makes us fight against each other.
For sure, and it gets even more complicated than that.
See, he didn't want to believe it even at the end. But let me start right there. Just wanted to show you the metaphysics. I've seen and heard these things, and you can see how everything comes into a head in these times. And you gotta get to the truth at the end of the day. You can't be a black person or a white person. Those people don't exist in reality. They only exist in the books of Rome.